Beyond Synth 359.
You're listening to Beyond Synth Radio. And so am I, because it's awesome.
Coming up, Andy talks to awesome artists about the games they love the most. My favourite game is next.
Here we go! Toasty!
Rise from your grave.
Oh, you can! Falcon! Punch! Tiger uppercut!
Sing along with me. It's a Scooby-Dooby melody.
Welcome to Scatman's World.
Yeah.
I'm the Scatman.
Anyway, listen, that wasn't the intro for the show. I'm Andy Last, and this is my favorite game. This is where I talk to a former guest from Beyond Synth, and we try, and I stress try, to focus on one of my guest's favorite video games. And of course, that was Arcade High with a theme song that I butchered by peppering sound effects all over it. And so let's get started. I am joined today by talented music man
Scatman!
Oh shit.
Oh wait, damn it. I fucked it up.
Back from the grave. The Scatman is back.
Oh, that joke, it worked out in my head, but then I did it. I took the chance,
Well, what people don't understand is that you and I just talked for 2 hours before we hit record. I'm like, we scheduled this thing, and I'm like, okay, we're going to record for like half an hour, and then we had a little catch-up, so that was fun.
Yeah, it was great. So, yeah, my name's Jessie. I'm a street cleaner.
And how's life in the street cleaner universe?
Things are good. Things are awesome. Things are working out. I'm staying busy at all times. Got a lot of irons in the fire.
Have I talked to you since you even made the first street cleaner game?
No.
Did we ever do an update or anything?
No. I know that I think the last time I was on, I was about to go on tour with Protector 101. So I think that would be 2019.
Really? Okay.
It's been a while.
Well, then let's talk about Street Cleaner, the video game, right? Because you made a throwback NES brawler, and you got it released on the Switch, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, that was the goal from the get-go, was to make a Nintendo Switch game. The game itself is a love letter to the Nintendo in a much more authentic way than most, throwback games are. So we couldn't quite sell the game to Nintendo, to pitch it to Nintendo without anything to show. So we had to make the game, and then we had to send the sweet little love letter to Nintendo and be like, hey, look at this game we made. Wouldn't it look great on your Switch?
Did you write that letter?
Nope. No, that was Brooks. He's my partner over at Creaky Lantern Games.
Creaky Lantern Games.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we chose that name for the SEO, pretty much.
Sneaky boy. I wish I was good at fucking SEO. That's not one of my skills.
No, SEO sucks, man. I named my project Street Cleaner, so I mean, of course, I suck at it. I learned from my mistakes. I now have a much bigger, deeper respect for acts that have misspelled things on purpose, oh, I get it. Okay. But they also can't be mad when, someone making a flyer spells their name correctly.
Yes, that's another thing too. I remember talking to somebody where they said the secret was you have to have a band name that's more than 3 words.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Because then it becomes more specific, right?
The one that I fight with is people want to call me Street Sweeper a lot, and people also no, it's hilarious. Last year I went on this big old tour, with Watch Out for Snakes and stuff, and we and one of the venues we got to, it was pretty cool because they had the marquee all set up. Somebody took the time to go out there and spell all the acts out on this big marquee, but they straight up just put Street Sweeper, and I was like, well, I'm not going to send this picture to mom. Another one, they what was it? The Knitting Factory. They called me Streetcar for some reason. Streetcar.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I just wanted to yell Stella the whole time while I was on stage. Stella!
Well, look, we got to get this show on the road here and talk about your favorite game after we listen to some music. So I have a playlist today of a few cool tracks, and we're also going to listen to some Street Cleaner as well, and that's what we're going to do. So first, I got a cool track from an artist called Macrowave from the album Ultimatum, and this is Dystopia. And that was Dystopia by Macrowave from the album Ultimatum. That is a cool song, and go check them out. And I'm here right now with Street Cleaner, and we are here, we're talking about my favorite game, but today we're talking about your favorite game, Jessie. So
thanks.
What game do you want to talk about today?
Woo! DuckTales.
And we're talking about the NES version or the Game Boy one?
NES version. I didn't play the Game Boy one, to tell you the truth. I'm probably missing out on that, but yeah, the NES version of DuckTales is got to be my favorite game, really shaped who I am, you know? I want to swim in money now and jump around on a cane.
So let's take the audience back here. All right, we're in the year 1989. Jesse's got a Nintendo. Did you have a Nintendo, or was it your friend's Nintendo, or what?
It was my Nintendo, sure.
Ooh, rich boy.
I don't know whose it was, but it entered my house and it stayed there. I think possession in my younger days was whoever used something the most, it became theirs, you know? You leave Jesse's Nintendo Mario machine alone.
Now that I think about it, I think I played the Game Boy DuckTales.
Really?
More than I played the NES version, because we had a Game Boy, and I think it's the same game, except the sprites, the characters are a little bigger on the screen, everything's a little bigger because it's like the Game Boy screen.
I think conceptually it's the same, but
yes,
I mean, DuckTales was really something different because I feel like it had like this extra layer of mobility to it. So if I remember right, you know, and it was a long time ago, it was my cousin's game. And I don't think he liked it. So you play as Scrooge McDuck, right? And you have to traverse like 5 different zones. And you can walk and you can hit things with your cane. And then you can jump. And if that's all you do, like the game's gonna be really fucking hard. But if you hold down and attack, you can do like this cane pogo jump thing. That becomes OP. You're like fucking God mode at that point. And you could just smash anything in your way. You don't take damage from beneath. Like you could just fucking obliterate everything. And you haul ass too. So like the little segments where like the walkway is falling down and you have to race past it, you know, and that kind of thing. Like it's no sweat when you're pogoing. It's badass. And so I think it was one of the probably the first game I ever actually beat, because everybody had Mario. How many people actually like beat Mario? At least, you know, I'm sure today everybody's gonna claim like I did. Like, okay, yeah, sure you did, cool guy. But like in real life, like how many people actually beat Mario? You know?
I never beat the first Mario game. Like I beat
same here
Mario 3 and 2, but I never beat the first one because there's a point, I don't know if it's like World 8. To be fair, I've never claimed to be good at games. I love games, but there's so many games that I didn't beat. And to this day, I think the first video game I ever actually beat was Bonk's Adventure 2 on the TurboGrafx.
What?
That was like,
are you serious? No, that's a gnarly game, isn't it? That game's hard.
It was doable. It was not Mega Man. Like I remember Mega Man, I was just like so frustrated. Contra, like I just couldn't do it without doing the code.
Yeah.
So I never beat Mario. Even to this day, I don't think I've beat it without the assistance of a save state or the rewind feature, because like once you get to fucking world like 8-3 and like you gotta hop and it's like those where it's just like you can only jump on one block and there's like a space and it goes into a pit and there's all these stupid like beetle bad guys, it just gets really annoying.
Yeah, it's like impossible. I mean, it's not impossible, obviously, but it's like at that point where like this is no longer fun. It was fun up until now, but this is not a fun game anymore.
I like the idea of this being a show about DuckTales and we're talk about Mario.
I'm just saying like that was the evolution, because like for the most part with Nintendo, like the inconvenient truth is usually the first party games are the best games on all Nintendo platforms.
Yes.
You know what I mean? With the exception of a few here or there, you know, like everybody's like, oh yeah, it's all about the Mario Karts and the F-Zeros and the Zeldas and the Metroids and the you know, that kind of stuff. Like, but the NES is different in that there were way better developers for the NES than Nintendo themselves. Obviously, like Mario 3 is like the perfect game on that system. It's like it just absolutely does everything that system is absolutely capable of. But like, dude, Sunsoft had fucking bangers and Capcom had fucking bangers like that were just coming out. They were just mopping the floor with first party Nintendo games, you know? Like, what do you want to play? Kid Icarus, or do you want to play Jackie Chan's Action Kung Fu? You know what I mean? Like, they're like, honestly, dude, Jackie Chan all the way, because that game's fucking badass. But by far, I think the best game on that system is DuckTales, just because there's so much to it. It's non-linear in a way. There's like backtracking involved. So you got kind of, I'm not going to even say it's a Metroidvania, but it's got a little bit of that to it. If you know exactly where to go and exactly what to do in what order, you can beat that game real quick. And like, I remember back in when I first became a dad in 2009, I was a stay-at-home dad for like 2 years, right? So I started getting into some really weird hobbies that didn't cost any money, and one of them was speedrunning DuckTales. First, it was like, oh man, I can beat this game in 20 minutes, you know? And I was like, well, if I do this, I can get that time down to like, 16 minutes. And then, the speedrunning community wasn't really like as huge as it is now. And so the speedrun at the time, a world record for DuckTales was 12 minutes. And I was like getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And then finally, like, I got this, world record time, and it was like, 11 minutes. Let's say it was like 3 seconds shorter than the world record at the time. And like for like a whole ass day, I was living on cloud nine. I was like, oh, I am the fucking DuckTales speedrun master. Like, I'm fucking Lord God of DuckTales. I'm so badass. I submitted the video and all that stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, it's in the queue, but it's going to be a while. And so I waited and waited and waited, and finally I got the little email saying that I've been taken out of the mix, because by the time they went through and reviewed all the speedruns, it's now at 9 minutes. I was never even fucking close. Like, I wasn't even remotely close. Like people were doing just frame perfect stuff. The RNG had to line up just perfectly with some of the bosses, that kind of stuff. Like, it was just absolutely ridiculous, Meanwhile, me, I was wasting a minute at the last boss alone, jumping off the fucking bird thing and doing all that. But yeah. Well, look, sorry, man. I'll talk forever about DuckTales. It'll get ridiculous.
All right. Well, we'll do that, but we're gonna listen to some more music. All right.
Okay.
So I got a cool one here from Zesloth, and it's a picture of a sloth. So you know how we all love sloths. I don't know. Anyway, let's listen to this. This is from the Lost Civilization by Zesloth, and this is the track Alkmar. And that was Zesloth with Alkmar from the album The Lost Civilization, and we are back with my favorite game, and today I'm chatting with Street Cleaner, musical artist and video game maker. Is that what you call yourself? Are you a video game maker?
Hey, sure, why not?
Who has just informed me that he almost had a speedrunning record in DuckTales, because today we're talking about DuckTales NES 1989, later ported to the Game Boy in 1990 by Capcom, and, or I should say Capcom made the game. They didn't just do the port, they made the game.
Then Way Forward did one 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, did you play that?
Yeah, it was cute. That was a little, nice little homage.
They did a thing that bugged me.
What's that?
We're talking about the DuckTales remake, which was good, but they did the same thing with Paper Mario on the Wii U. The Paper Mario on GameCube was like an awesome game. Like, it was like an RPG, but you sort of more interactive, and it was like really fun, and it had a lot of funny dialogue and stuff. And then when Paper Mario came out on Wii U, it was just a simple platformer, but then they sort of padded it out by filling it with dialogue, so it's like trying to make it feel like it was more substantial than it was.
Yeah.
So you would literally do a very simple platforming section and then have to sit through fucking characters just talking. And they did that in the DuckTales remake. Where it was just
Mario,
like,
you gotta help me. I ate a whole bottle of Viagra.
no, that's all it is. And it was like, dude, this is a simple platforming game. You can't keep, it's like when you play Metal Gear and it's like you do 2 minutes of gameplay followed by like 2 hours of cutscenes.
Yeah.
And there's a point where if you're into it the first time, fine. But then there's a point where like, okay, like what is the actual game here? And if it's like a platforming game, you can't be breaking up the action every 2 seconds to like mash X to like skip through dialogue. And I think with the DuckTales remake, they sort of did that where they wanted to make it feel, kind of add more flourishes like it was the cartoon. And so you kept bumping into characters and they kept talking to you.
It was kind of sweet though in the fact that like they got the original voice cast from the cartoon to come in, including Alan Young's like final performance as Scrooge McDuck, like.
Don't get all sentimental on me, you son of a bitch.
I just watched The Time Machine and Alan Young was in it and I cried.
The point I'm trying to make is, though, that, like, they did a good job in the remake, but then there was this other aspect of the story thing that I understood why they did it, but at the same time I felt it also kind of broke up the action and sort of bogged it down a bit because it is essentially still just a platforming game.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that, honestly. And, like, there is dialogue in the NES game, but it's like just quick little shit. And I jump over Huey, Dewey, and Louie and what's her name all the time just because, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck about you. Like just stay out of my way, like...
Now that I realize that it was made by some of the same team that worked on Mega Man, because I never actually knew that.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I guess it sort of leads to like the format of the game, because it's sort of similar in the Mega Man way, how, you can choose what boss to fight first, but there are certain orders that are maybe better to play the game in. And that was one of those cool things about DuckTales too, because you did get to choose what map you started on, and I would always play the Moon because, I guess we might as well get it out of the way. The Moon theme music is one of the greatest video game level music of all time.
Hell yeah.
It's on the list, I think, for pretty much everybody when they talk about classic video game music. It's like, I don't think there's a single list in the world that does not include the fucking Moon theme from DuckTales because it's a great fucking song. And something interesting, I didn't watch the new cartoon. I loved the old cartoon. Like, I love DuckTales. I didn't watch the reboot that they did in like 2017.
Yeah, it's not too shabby.
So then do you know this? Because I didn't watch it, so I only read about this now, that there's an episode where they go to the moon and they find the duck's mom, and she's like an adventurer, and
they have the song.
I didn't realize. So and the whole episode is based around that song. Like, it's like a lullaby. And
yeah, we're in our 40s now, you and I. Our generation is now the producers on this shit, you know? So like, just like imagine like when we were kids and we were watching like fucking Jetsons or whatever, like they were doing throwbacks that only those old farts would know. And so like nowadays, like our kids are watching modern DuckTales. They wouldn't know that joke, but you and me were like high-fiving like maniacs, like fuck yeah, fucking moon fucking theme. Woo!
It was sort of a cute thing, because I like how I'm talking about the new DuckTales show. It's like it's meta on a level where they're on the moon and they're playing the moon theme from the show, but then it's also like the mother's lullaby, and so they added music to it. And like, it's funny that song was actually like not just there as an Easter egg, but it's actually like woven into the plot of the show. Like, so like, that's nice, you know. It seems like they thought about it, which is cute.
Let me try something. I used to sing this old song to my boys before they hatched. Look to the stars, my darling baby boys. Life is strange and vast, filled with wonders and joys. Face each new sun with eyes clear and true, unafraid of the unknown, because I'll face it all with you.
Dude, I'm gonna totally just give me 1 second to digress on something real quick. But right before we started talking, an episode of the show Superstore was on TV, and the thing I think's funny about that is like they obviously did not pony up money for music licensing. So all of the music in that show Superstore is all like really bad covers, and it's almost like bad covers on purpose, you know, like just to give the vibe of a shitty department store, you know. But in this particular episode, it was a wedding episode where two of the characters were getting married and they're walking down the aisle. And the big thing to do on TV now is for weddings is they'll play like a pop song, but like with violins, you know? And like they'll play like, you know, Mad World, but violins, you know, do 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 or whatever, and they're getting married to that. But on this one, they were playing this melody, and for the life of me, I had to like fucking rewind it and watch it over and over again. It was fucking the dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-do. It was with violins and people are getting married. And I was like, this is the fucking radish joke that only like 17 fucking people are going to realize. This is so fucking awesome.
The fucking, that's the hamster dance, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They were doing a hamster dance, but it was like a slowed down violin version of hamster dance that people are getting married to.
Stupid.
And I was like, fuck, this is fucking great. This is so good. Just like getting the moon theme into the modern DuckTales thing, though, you know, like the key demographic that show is pitched towards would never pick that up. But,
right.
You know, mom and dad will.
Well, listen, speaking of cool music, let's listen to some Street Cleaner, all right?
Nice.
Because you're here, so we might as well listen to some Street Cleaner. So I thought we would listen to a track from Edge. And this is a cool one, which you did with a special guest you can talk to me about after we listen to it. We're going to listen to Terror Influx, by the way.
Oh, let me talk about it, yeah.
And we'll do that, but first, let's listen to it. This is Terror Influx by Street Cleaner, featuring Aubrey Hodges. Alright, and that was Street Cleaner with the track Terror Influx featuring Aubrey Hodges. And I'm here with Street Cleaner today on my favorite game, and we're talking about DuckTales because that's Jessie's favorite game, and we'll get into more detail. You want to talk about that song real quick?
Yeah, that song was a dream come true for me because being able to collaborate with one of my idols was amazing. So Quake came out on PC, right? And they had the luxury of having a CD. So when you're playing the game, all of the, I'd hate to call it music, but like all the sound beds and stuff like that were being played off of the CD as you're playing the game, right? So when they ported that to PlayStation or Saturn or whatever, there was no problem. They could just drag, they could use the same music. But the problem with porting that Quake to Nintendo 64 was they didn't have the luxury of 600 megabytes of space to store music. So they had their in-house music guy who up until that point, had worked on a whole bunch of Midway arcade games and stuff like that. He was responsible for making the music for Quake 64. And he didn't try to emulate Trent Reznor's soundtrack to the PC game. He was just like, well, I'm going to do my own thing. And he literally wrote an entirely new soundtrack to Quake that, in my opinion, is, and a lot of people are going to say this is, heresy or whatever, but is far superior to the Trent Reznor soundtrack because it's got this like thick fucking like almost hip hop mid-tempo through the game, like not during the stages, but in between stages. It's just the most funky, disturbing, off-key kind of sounding like just beats. And he made all of the music just using existing samples that were already in the game because he couldn't add to the size of the game. Right. So all the instruments were like item pickups. All the drums were like damaged. So it's just this weird, funky, stuff. Like I'm totally mouth beatboxing. And it's amazing because it sounds so funky. And I think he did 5 songs in total for the game. And it's so good. Before that, he did Doom 64, he did Quake 2 on Nintendo 64, and then branched out and did, I believe, Quake 3 on Dreamcast. Just like he was the Midway guy, so all the Midway Nintendo 64 and Dreamcast games, like he was the in-house guy. He did one of the Robotech games too. He did Final Doom on PlayStation, where he added the most batshit insane fucking techno music to it. Like Doom had the stupid the Bobby Prince stuff, and I will call the Bobby Prince Doom soundtrack shitty, and but that's my opinion. But so when Final Doom, I'm on it. When Final Doom came out on PlayStation, fucking Aubrey Hodges just redid the whole soundtrack, and some of those songs are some of the most gabber, fucking hardcore, just distorted bass drum, just like really fast fucking, we're talking like 200 BPM songs. And I think when people think of like hyper Doom music before Doom 2016, they're thinking of the PlayStation Final Doom, and that's all Aubrey Hodges. So I had the pleasure of being able to meet him and talk to him and just basically pick his brain on how some of this music was made, because Nintendo 64 music, because I write music for video games and stuff, and we'll use FamiTracker or depending on what the project is, but the Nintendo 64 is just one of those weird things. And so I got to pick his brain about it, and I wrote a little song in the style of Aubrey Hodges' Quake 64 thing. And I sent it to him, and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, hey, I think we should just blow this up. We should just blow it up into a full song, And I was like, wait, are you saying we? Like you and me? Is this the thing that we're doing now, And so, yeah, it was great. It was like the most badass collaboration because, I'm sending him some stuff. He's sending me back some stems. We're sending stuff back and forth. Then one day, out of nowhere, he just lays guitar down over the entire track. He comes up with this idea where he wants to put like this trap breakdown in the middle. I'm like, fuck, yes, no, yes. Every idea is on the table. This is amazing. Being able to basically write the lost Quake 64 song, was so rad. But that's why the the song kind of starts off one way and then just has that dive early on and just changes shape, because it's like that whole like evolution of the sound, starting with the Nintendo 64 sound fonts and just going into the wow and coming in full force. But yeah, all right, then I'll stop talking.
No, it's good. It's again, I don't have like encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of things, so like I'm passionate about the things I know, but then I have blind spots to lots of stuff as well, because I don't think I was aware of Aubrey Hodges. But now that you say that, it's funny because I remember it was a big deal that Trent Reznor did the soundtrack to Quake.
Yeah.
But I was never really a Quake guy, so I played it, but then I played it recently as well, just because I have Xbox Game Pass. I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll throw on Quake.
Yeah, they own it now.
It's good music, but since it's kind of very spooky and atmospheric, it's sort of like a downer a bit. Like I'm sort of a classic guy where I like kind of video game music with like melodies and kind of cool beats
that's the thing.
And things.
If you're playing Quake on Game Pass, there's literally in the options you could switch it over to the Aubrey Hodges soundtrack.
Ah, okay, I'll try that.
Yeah, so it's in there. I think there's an option in there, and I know it exists because I did it on my Xbox. But like, yeah, so you could switch over to the Aubrey Hodges version as well. So they're both soundtracks are in that same game.
All right, well, that's good to know. Now that video game music has gotten so good and that people are using these big like sound libraries of strings and orchestras and shit, but then everything just sounds like it's got like a cinematic score, but it's not memorable.
Yeah, it sounds like a Marvel movie. Like, can you hum the theme to a Marvel movie?
No.
You know, like, no, you can't. Can you hum the theme to Batman? Fuck yeah. Can you hum the theme to RoboCop? Hell yes. Like, everybody should be able to.
And I still think during like the N64 era, like there was still sort of iconic game music coming out, but the stuff that gripped me, I forget the artist's name. I reached out to him, but he didn't get back to me. Who did the music for Turok 2?
Okay.
Turok 2, dude. There's one song called The Port of Adia, which is like the first level. And it is the most fucking epic, awesome, like orchestral. It's a fucking wicked song. And why am I? Look, listen, we gotta. This show's about DuckTales. We're gonna listen to some more music and then we'll keep chatting, okay? So I got a cool one here from an artist called Jokerhed. This is a track called RetroSpect. And that was Jokerhed with the track RetroSpect. And we're back here on my favorite game. We're chatting with Street Cleaner about his love for DuckTales, although we took a little tangent there to talk about Quake. But that's cool that you got to work with Aubrey Hodges. I like little stories like that. It's one of those few times where the internet is good, you know, where people get to like team up with
few times.
Yeah, like
few times.
Because there is a few of those stories in the synthwave scene, you know, where someone like reaches out to like, hey, this was like, you know, like a trance producer I used to listen to in like the mid 2000s, and we did a song together or whatever. I'm like, that's cool. Like, I like stories like that.
You know, there's always stories where like there's somebody you looked up to and you reached out to them just to find out they're an insufferable douche, you know, and it's just like, it sucks because
hey man,
I can't listen to your music anymore because now I know you're such a fucking douche.
But I can listen to it when I douche. That's the important thing.
When I douche, yeah.
Well, listen, let's talk more about fucking DuckTales here. So we got that the game came out and it was a fucking hit. You know, it was actually Capcom's top-selling game. I read that trivia that on both the NES and the Game Boy, DuckTales was the game that Capcom sold the most copies of.
Wow.
1.67 million on the NES.
Holy shit.
And 1.43 million on the Game Boy, which is pretty cool. So what would you say then? Because obviously everybody talks about the moon, but do you have like some weird surprise answer where you're like, actually, my favorite song is the Himalayas or whatever? Are you one of those people?
That's the thing, man. It's like, oops, all bangers. You know, like, They accidentally wrote fucking phenomenal music for every single bit. And what's kind of neat though is also like, even like a lot of those licensed games, like they'll license the likeness of characters. You know, famously like the Flintstones games have the most like uncanny valley versions of the Flintstone themes and stuff. But no, Capcom, like, I don't know how that all worked out with Disney, but they actually did the, you know, do, like even that's legit. The whole soundtrack's great. Even the little song that gets played while you're at the menu. Yeah, it was such well crafted and well thought out. They really fucking killed it.
Yeah, they do capture the vibe of the show, which is cool, because that was always something that sort of disappointed me, you know, like where you'd get the NES game and then like you're playing Batman, but at no point does it play Batman. It just plays this weird techno music that's like, this doesn't quite capture the vibe of Batman.
Yeah. Or even worse, like you get like a Batman game, right? Well, first of all, I want to say Sunsoft Batman's one of the greatest games of all time. Like it's one of I love it so much. Like we literally based Street Cleaner, the video game, off of it. But it's always funny when you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play this Batman game, and like, all right, cool, this is Michael Keaton Batman era. All right, this is Dark Batman, and the music's like. Like the Back to the Future game, like that music is just what are you thinking? What is that?
Isn't it like the Back to the Future game? Isn't the music in that game like insufferable? Like
yeah,
because I would go back and like, because I always say this, right? Like, oh, I'm so nostalgic for like the old days of cool chiptune fucking game soundtracks, and so I download quite a few. There's this website called Zophar's Domain, which is awesome because
they've been around since fucking 90s, man.
Yeah, man, I love that site because every time I go there, it's just like neatly packaged zip folders of, you know, MP3 ready fucking songs. They're all labeled and everything. It's great. But yeah, so sometimes I'll go on a tear where I'll just download a bunch of games I never even played just to hear the soundtracks, and like some of them are fucking horrible. Like it's like literally, it's like weird circus music that's just meant to drive you insane. There are some examples though of some where like the music doesn't match the mood at all, but it's awesome, and that is Predator. If you ever played Predator has the most ridiculous music, but some of it is fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, I'm in the dark on that one.
I'll play a sample here from Predator because there's this one song, it's like one of my favorite video game pieces of all time of this era, and it is amazing. And this song just goes places. at the same time, the game has so little to do with Predator. You know, like in that era where the last boss is always a giant floating head, no matter what the fucking game is. You know, like it's one of those games.
Yes! Dude, that's what we did with Street Cleaner, the video game. The final boss is just a big floating head. Oh,
but that's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, even just like looking at screenshots of the Street Cleaner game, I mean, like, you know, you know, when you say this thing's a love letter, it really is, because like,
oh, it really is. Oh yeah, for like every trope and everything, every stupid thing about those old fucking NES games, like, we're doing it. Final boss is gonna be a big floating head. Yep, we're doing it.
You guys didn't do flickering sprites, did you?
No, we did some quality of life stuff. So we kept the pixel density the same as it would be on like Batman or Shatterhand or anything like that. The sprite sizes are all exactly what the constraints would have been. We kept all that, but we did do, you know, the 16 by 9 aspect ratio. So we did fill it out all the way instead of doing the 4:3. Mm-hmm. And then there are other things like just quality of life stuff. Like, so yeah, there's no flickering, there's no sprite slowdown, you know, and that could have been added artificially, because I mean, it is on a lot of emulated stuff too, but nah, we're not gonna do that. Then there's other things too, like checkpoints and stuff, that you'll be hard pressed to find a whole lot of games with checkpoints on the NES.
There's so many aspects of like classic games that I do like, but I will say, and I get that this is cheating, but I do like playing old games on emulators where I can fucking rewind time and like do save states and stuff, because I just don't have the patience anymore to get good at things.
Dude.
And so there's some old games that I'm actually just playing again. I find it so nice that I'm playing at the boss, I get there, and then, you know, they start off with some fucking cheap move, and I'm like, fuck you, rewind. You know what I mean? Like, why should I have to play this whole map again? Like, come on, I got shit to do.
Exactly. I played so many emulators, and they always had F5 and F6 as like save and load, you know, save states. And so I just got in the habit of just, as I'm playing, just reaching up and tapping F5 real quick. So every time I get to a part that looks like it's going to be dicey, just tap F5 real quick, you know, and then like, oh, okay, well, shit, yeah, I died, hit F6, and I'll respawn where I did the save state. And then one day I was with a buddy of mine, and I couldn't find out where I parked my car. I was in like downtown Los Angeles. So we're kind of like walking a few blocks, and we decided to take this shortcut through like this dark, seedy alleyway. And my arm literally went up and ghost pushed F5 by muscle memory alone.
Just in case I get stabbed here.
Exactly, dude. So like, I didn't even realize I was doing it. My arm went up, and I was like, oh shit, did I totally just do save state? Like,
that's how I know too when a boss is really cheap, because I played Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo, and I got to Penguin, and I was literally doing save states, and it still took me like a fucking hour, because he was such a cheap fucking boss that I would like save, and then I'd get like one hit in, but then like no matter how you hit him, he would always still fucking hit you with some other stupid move. And so I'd go rewind, fucking save again, and like I was like saving after every hit, and then it was infuriating, and I was just like, this is the cheapest fucking boss. But the characters were so big in that game, so I liked it, because like the big sprites.
Hell yeah.
Anyways, listen, look, we got sidetracked again, and now we got to listen to some more music. I should just rename every Beyond Synth show to Tangents, because, yeah. Anyway, look, I got a cool track here from Nefas, and I was like, hey, that name sounds familiar, and that's because Nefas was a Patreon supporter in the past, and I remember saying that name, so I messaged him, and I was like, are you the same Nefas who used to support the show? And it's the same guy, so that was exciting. Anyways, let's give it a listen. This is Nefas with Disposable Shell. And that was Disposable Shell by Nefas. And this is my favorite game. And I've been chatting with Jessie, a.k.a. Street Cleaner. And this show was supposed to be about DuckTales, but... Anyway, look, I guess it was kind of about DuckTales. Did you ever play DuckTales 2?
No, not until I got the Disney Afternoon Collection thing that came out recently. So, I mean, I did play it like a year ago on PlayStation. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't love it. I don't have the nostalgia for it. I think by the time that game came out, I had like already moved on to Genesis or something, you know.
It's weird because I've never played DuckTales 2 either. Is it just the same game with different levels?
It's definitely a lot more assets. It's got like an overworld map and stuff to it too, where you like fly launch pads playing around and land in different areas.
Okay.
But I mean, it does kind of feel like an asset flip in a way. But fuck, man, if you can get your hands on a copy, it goes for a lot of money for sure. If you're at a yard sale and you see DuckTales 2, you could be like, shit. That's a cool $200 right there.
Man, I've said this many times, but I feel like the age of finding cool things at yard sales is over because everybody knows the value of certain things now.
Here's the thing. You have to change what your parameter of what cool things are. So I'm serious, man. So I go to thrift stores, I go to swap meets, I go to yard sales, I go to estate sales every weekend. And you just got to like reorganize. You got to reorganize what your priorities are. So like, I like buying homemade CDs. Like that's my thing. I like buying CDs of like some guy and his dad, like making an album for their family's Christmas reunion or something, you know, like that's my cool thing now. And I find tons of them. I got stacks of CDs of just like, you know, like some kid in like 2003 wants to be a rapper. So he throws on sunglasses. His mom takes a picture of him and he's got like 3 MP3s on the CD of him going like, I'm a ripping and a rapping on a Saturday night. Like that's the raddest shit. And you can find that everywhere. So like, if you reorganize what your parameters of cool shit is, you're going to find it.
That is pretty funny, actually. Whenever I see just some loose CD, I'm always just hoping there's porn on it.
No, I will not buy a loose CDR because I will not take that gamble that there's not something that is like federally wrong on that disc. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then that wouldn't be your fault. Like if I brought it back and it's like, oh shit,
I'm in my house at that point. You know, because I'm gonna report it, and then now I'm gonna be associated with a thing as far as the federal government's concerned.
That's true. You know? Yeah, because I was actually thinking about this exact thing the other day because like there is something because at one point I thought a cool marketing technique would be to like leave like mix CDs around the city and like USB sticks and stuff because people would want to put them in, but then when they put them in, it would just be like an episode of Beyond Synth and a synthwave playlist or something.
My name's Andy and I'm here to say Beyond Synth in a major way.
Yeah, I thought like this would be some weird viral marketing, you know, like or like make a whole bunch of t-shirts for your brand, but then just give them to the thrift store.
Yeah.
So that when people are like flipping through, they find like a nice shirt and it's got the logo on it, and so people wear it around without realizing they're advertising.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, but strange people aren't going to put discs in the machine that they find on the floor. But I'm like, but I would. But then like, but then what would happen if it was like some fucking illegal shit? Because then I'm like, ah, crap. If I go to the police station, go like, I found this disc. Like, oh, you found it, huh? I'm like,
oh, you found
come
it,
on,
did you?
man.
Huh?
Like, it's, you know.
Yeah.
So I
next
guess,
thing you know, you're going to be trying to get custody of your kids back. You know, like.
Yeah, you're right. You know what it is? I'm a child of the 80s, so the idea of finding porn in the woods or something still has the quality of like innocent fun. It's an experience people had, you know, like, oh, behind this shack there's like some old Penthouse magazines or something, but I get that this is now like an antiquated experience that like the internet has ruined.
Well, I did find porn, but it was on a camera, so I had gotten a camera at a thrift store, right? A digital camera.
Nice.
And so I'm like, yeah, so I'm like, cool, the battery still holds a charge. I pull it up, and it's straight up. It was used for a dude taking lewds.
That same thing happened to me, but it was a moment of extreme stress in my life. So I was going on a trip with my dad. This would be in like 97 or 98 or something. We're at the airport, and it's just me and him. Yeah, this when I was in high school, so I had seen a digital camera before because the school bought one. This was like when it was a novel thing, you know, like the pictures were probably like
took
fucking
a floppy disk in it instead of a memory card.
Yeah, you would. You'd put a disc in the side and you probably get like a fucking 1 megapixel image or something. And this lady was showing my dad, like, she had a digital camera, and it was the same model as the one that I had at my school. And she's like, oh, this is cool. And then she's like, oh, you want to look at it? I'm like, yeah, sure. And since I already knew what this camera was, I immediately went to the fucking library of images.
Yeah.
Right in front of her, but she doesn't see what I see because she was sitting across talking to my dad. So I'm just kind of playing with her camera. First image is probably her boyfriend or husband just took a picture of this fucking big red boner, and it's like the first fucking picture, okay? And all of a sudden I'm panicking because I'm forgetting how to get it off the screen. And I'm like, I can't hand this fucking camera back to her because there's a fucking picture of a dick on it. Like, then she'll know that I saw it. So then I start fucking panicking. Oh shit, back, and like trying to fucking close the image library, and it was like super stressful. Like I can picture it now as like a movie scene with like intense music playing.
But that memory card that I found, like, I destroyed that shit because, like, I was thinking, like, man, that was somebody's uncle, you know, that was somebody's dad or grandpa. I would hate for that to like get out and like perpetuate and become like a meme.
Well, you're an honorable man, Jesse. You did you did the right thing. That is the right thing to do. Sorry, this is a strange tangent. The point
what
is,
were we talking about? Batman on Super NES?
well, we're supposed to be talking about DuckTales, but anyways, listen.
Shit, that's right.
Let's listen to one more track and then we'll fucking we'll wrap up. I don't know what this last thing was. Let's listen to another Street Cleaner track from the album Edge. This is a cool album, and people should go check it out. I want to listen to the track Control, and then we'll be right back. This is Control by Street Cleaner. right, and that was Control by Street Cleaner. And I've been talking to Street Cleaner on my favorite game, talking about DuckTales and porn, I guess. Sorry, I'm sorry. That was me. I did that.
You steer conversations very, very gently to where you almost made me think I did it. DuckTales. DuckTales is fucking badass. It's so great because it has, as a kid when you're playing it, so I love the TV show. It holds up too if you ever get a chance to watch it. It really holds up. The downside of it is it's on Disney Plus, so they crop out the top and bottom to make it full screen for some fucking reason, which is stupid.
I bought the DVDs when they came out.
Same here. I got them at Costco.
Because I wasn't really a Disney kid, but I really liked Gummy Bears, and I liked DuckTales.
Bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Yeah, it's a great song.
High adventure that's beyond compare.
The song is great, and the DuckTales song is great too, and I love that the dude fucking gives it, the singer of those songs.
Oh, he fucking sings that shit so hard. There's like a full version too that has like 2 whole additional verses in it. It's kind of like the Fresh Prince, where like people don't realize the first episode had a longer version of the song that explains how he got from Philadelphia to LA. It wasn't in a cab. You know, like same thing with DuckTales. Like there's more to it. The foreign language versions are great too. If you ever listen to the song in Finnish, it's really amazing. Yeah, now, I'm not making that up, but like if you look up DuckTales theme song Finland, like you're in for a treat because that guy fucking wails. He just goes hard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Vauhtimesta hurin on Ankka linna. Aina täynnä säpinä on Ankka linna. Arvoitus raukee ja ansat laukee. Ankat, oh, uutta juonta aina sahaa. Ankat, oh, joskus hyvää, joskus pahaa. Ankat, oh, lumpavaara veijyy takanasi. Muukalainen kannoillasi. Mitä teet sen kaiket kertoo? Ankat, oh.
Yeah, the DuckTales theme is great, but the DVD releases were a little weird because the episodes weren't exactly in order. Like, the episodes were sort of like rearranged over I think it was like 3 DVD sets.
Really?
But then again, like these old cartoons sort of like they were meant to be just watched in any order. I mean, except for a few 5-part story arcs. I think there was like 3 of those in DuckTales.
Yeah, I think the whole idea for DuckTales right out the gate was to make syndication numbers, you know, was to like get enough units so that they could do syndication, you know, so they may have had like the whole entire thing planned out before production even started.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. But again, like to your point, the reframing of the picture from full screen to widescreen, like that is just stupid. Like you're just losing part of the image. Like I mentioned this a while ago, but they did that to Baywatch, like change it to widescreen.
Oh yeah,
and it fundamentally changed the show because they cropped out all of the cleavage. And like it's a lot of weird close-ups of people, so like every time
just
people
navels the whole time, just belly buttons.
Yeah, because when you film a show in 4:3 and the shot is just someone's head, like their shoulders and their head talking, and then you make it widescreen, all of a sudden like every time someone talks, it's like a kind of unnatural close-up.
Yeah.
Where it's like their eyebrows down to like their chin, and like it's just a weird way to frame a shot.
Yeah, like I was explaining to my kids, like if you watch some older, like MASH is a good example. If you watch MASH, you'll notice that like a good half to like 75% of the show is just close-ups of faces. And my kids were like, we're like, hey, why are you watching this show? It's just big faces, because I have an 85-inch TV, and so seeing fucking, seeing Trapper John's face all blown up huge on my fucking mantle, like my kids are like, what the hell's going on? And I had to explain to them, like, well, the average TV was about 21 to 27 inches. So they, and I just like started talking about framing and blocking for TV and how it didn't really carry over. But Hulu went ahead and cropped that show too. So you literally just get to see bottom lip to eyebrow. And it's just ridiculous.
At least with Simpsons, they did eventually offer the 4:3.
Yeah.
But you have to select it.
They fundamentally changed that show by doing that. I mean, there's lots of visual gags that they literally erased by stretching it out or, doing that thing to it. But I mean, I have seasons 1 through 10 on DVD.
And that's all you need.
Exactly. I mean, and they can't retcon episodes out of my cupboard. So
no,
I'm good.
Because I remember they actually made some edits. Because there were some specific jokes that I always loved that when I watched the widescreen one they took out.
Yeah.
Very few.
Yeah.
They didn't do it very often, but they took out a Woody Allen joke. And
the Sun Yi joke?
No, it was the McBain Let's Get Silly when he's doing the stand-up, where McBain's in front of the brick wall just doing horrible jokes like, you ever wonder why men always leave the toilet seat up? That's the joke.
Yeah.
and then one of them was, here's my Woody Allen impression. I'm a neurotic nerd who likes to sleep with little girls. And then you suck, McBain.
You suck, McBain.
But in the widescreen one, they took that joke out.
Yeah.
But then when I watched it in 4:3, the joke was still there. So I think when they went through to do whatever content moderation they did, when they put them on Disney, they didn't apply that same content moderation to the 4:3 versions.
One of my favorite episodes of The Simpsons of all time was where Homer's wears a pink shirt to work, and then they think he's crazy, so they have him, instituted, and he meets Michael Jackson, and then Michael Jackson ends up, I forgot what his name is, no, my name's Steve, I'm from Brooklyn, And,
Lisa, it's your birthday.
Happy birthday, Lisa. Yeah, exactly. And I just remember loving that episode so much. And Michael Jackson's name is nowhere on that episode either.
No.
But then once it came out recently that that actually is Michael Jackson, all of a sudden, oh no, well, we can't have this. I mean, I understand. I'm not going to get into the argument of why they removed it, but it's like this special thing that I got to experience as like a 9-year-old kid that I fell in love with this episode of the show, and it means something to me. And now it's like, what, you're saying that I can't have it? Well,
they're doing the same with Sonic 3 music.
Yeah, they did. That's fucking stupid.
And that one's silly because the more I read into it,
that was Brad Buxter.
Yeah,
Brad Buxner? Yeah, it wasn't even Michael Jackson.
And the thing was, my favorite song, I heard another verse. So it was like Ice Level or something.
Ice Cap Zone.
Yeah, the fucking...
Yeah, the Jet Zones, right? Yeah, Jet Zones was the name of the band that wrote that song.
The fun things about researching old video game music is finding out the source material. When you go oh, I love the music from Streets of Rage, and then you find out they just fucking ripped off these.
It's just Black Box, everybody, or it's just or what was the big one? Shaman. Literally, they just lifted a Shaman song directly note for note.
It's pretty awesome.
I'm into it though. It's good.
But anyway, look, listen.
Hey,
we got to go. We just recorded for double the amount of time I wanted to. So,
sorry.
It was fun chatting about DuckTales. That's what we did today.
We talked about DuckTales, didn't we?
And of course, you are a street cleaner. So what should people do? Obviously, there's the first street cleaner game you can still pick up, right, on the Nintendo?
Yeah, it's on Nintendo Switch and it's on Steam for PC users. And then we're working on the untitled sequel to Street Cleaner, the video game right now. That's well underway. It's much more ambitious than the first game for sure. Other than that, I mean, we just did a reprint of Annihilation with EPR on vinyl, so there's 2 colors of that. It's still available right now. I mean, that's one of the greatest feelings in the world, is to have a big run of records run out and warrant a reprint. So there's 2 colors available on that. Also Edge, there's 2 available, 2 colors on variants of that through EPR as well. That one's really cool because, I mean, you just heard 2 songs from Edge on this podcast. The cover to that vinyl is that silver foil underlay. The artwork was just made for vinyl for just you'd have to see it, you'd have to hold it, and I think getting video or pictures really doesn't do it justice. It's one of those things where if you hold it in person, you see it, it's pretty badass. And yeah, I made the music on there too. Other than that, so yeah, I got records on EPR. I've got I'm always working on stuff, so follow me on the Instagrams, Street Cleaner 82. Yeah. those are my plugs.
Awesome. Well, that's all very exciting stuff. So you have a lovely day, and it was nice catching up with you.
Thank you.
And then we'll, of course, look forward to Street Cleaner 2, Untitled Street Cleaner game. That sounds like a lot of fun. And, of course, people, DuckTales, right? DuckTales was a cool game. Sorry,
Yes.
I don't. This is the first time I'm doing this sort of my favorite game, so I don't know how I wrap it up.
I'm really looking forward to like more episodes of my favorite game.
Well, if I can't get any guests, it'll just be me talking about Ocarina of Time and GoldenEye. And
Hey, I can talk about some Ocarina.
Well, it's a great game, but we'll save that for next time. So everyone be cool. This has been my favorite game, and tune in next time to Beyond Synth Radio, where everything is cool and you're cool for listening, and have a lovely day. All right.
Yeah, we did it.
Beyond Synth Radio is produced by Andy Last. Check the show notes for more information on the musicians featured on the show. Beyond Synth is made possible by listeners like you. Consider supporting Beyond Synth at patreon.com/BeyondSynth. Thanks for listening.